You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, episode 59. This week on the show, we're heading down to Arkansas, and we're joined by Antonio Duckman Jones to talk duck calling and hunting flooded timber. All right, welcome to the 59th episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. We are your on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. Check us out at hpoutdoors.com, across all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're into Facebook, you can check out our HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast listeners group, where we got a bunch of guys in there talking hunting. And if you want to catch up on all the past episodes that we have, you can go to iTunes, or you can also go to hpoutdoors.com/podcast and catch all of the past episodes that we've got going on. Joining me this week, as he always does, is Minivan Dan. Dan, what's going on? Weather update or something like that from your neck of the woods?
Weather update. It's pretty toasty up here. It's like 80 degrees today. The past weekend was pretty chilly in the morning, and been on 2 duck hunts so far this season. First one was our opener 2 weeks ago. Did pretty good. Shot quite a few hen woodies, but it was still a good shoot. And then didn't have much time this past weekend, but a buddy of mine, we took his son out, and he shot a hen woody, and Kimber made a heck of a retrieve. So they got super excited to see that. She chased it down in some thick grass, like across this little. It's a beaver dam, but it's a stream, and the backside of the stream I didn't even know kind of existed. It was more just swampy bottom, and this woody went down, and Kimber was gone for about 4 or 5 minutes, and comes back with this duck that's still alive, and she brings it back. I was taking pictures, and she brought it back to my buddy and put it right at his feet, and he didn't pick it up, so it jumped back in the water. So Kimber went back after it, brought it back again, and then we took care of it. So, but they were his son, who is, I think he's like 13, 14, somewhere around there, but just super excited to see her come back. He couldn't believe that she actually found it after the run around that she did, chasing it through the weeds and sticks and everything. So that was cool to see his excitement, and I was pretty happy to see her bring it back too. So yeah, we're in full swing and getting some trigger time, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I always like to hear, a youngster getting out and getting after him a little bit. And, for me, of course, we don't have duck season in right now. So I've been doing a lot of, spending time doing fishing and hiking with my son. But, one cool thing that just happened here recently, actually tonight, is we got to see the Oracle rocket launch that's going up to refuel the International Space Station. Could see that launching from my front porch this evening. So that was pretty cool. My kid liked that. So yeah, we're just pretty much, doing whatever we can do to fill the time until we start duck hunting again. So that's like mid-November, which sucks. So another month or so till we're back in the field. But, we got a good show lined up this week. We were really excited about being able to get, Duckman Jones on the show here this week. We haven't really covered on this show at all, talking about, hunting flooded timber and that kind of stuff. So, we get a good conversation with him, talk a little bit about, hunting timber. He obviously had a good relationship with Butch down there at R&T. So, we talk a little bit about that with him, and, he's a good dude, big personality. So definitely was fun chatting with him.
Yeah, we've been looking to get someone that hunts timber quite a bit on the show, and I think we mentioned it in the podcast. It's kind of just a foreign concept to us, and like you said, 160,000 acres or 180,000 acres of flooded timber that one place becomes. So, I mean, that's just It is. It's like a different world than what we're used to. So, we try and go around the United States and hit all the spots that people hunt, and kind of get experts from that region. And I think he fits the bill for this.
No doubt. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and play this interview where we're joined by Antonio Duckman Jones. All right, guys, joining us this week is a special guest. He certainly needs no introduction, but I'll go ahead and give him one anyway. He's a former world champion duck caller. It's Antonio Duckman Jones. Antonio, how are you, man?
Man, every day's like Christmas, baby. We're having fun. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Yeah, we're excited to have you on. We've been wanting to, Dan and I together, we've been talking about getting you on for quite a while, and we've been kind of going back and forth with you. So we're glad we were able to get kind of everything scheduled here and kind of coordinated. So we do appreciate it. But for the folks that are listening to this show, some of them might be new to the duck hunting community and stuff like that. Just kind of for everyone that may not know, give us a little bit of information about yourself. Kind of talk to us a little bit about sort of how you got into the hunting and guiding game, contest calling, call making, kind of that stuff. Just give everybody sort of a little bit of, the Cliff Notes version of who Duckman Jones is.
Well, I got into hunting. That, Josh, that's like the number one question everyone asks me. They look at me and they go, "What made you want to get into duck hunting?" For like competitive terms, I'm like, I don't know. I've seen Bo Jackson doing it, so I thought it'd be fun. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, and we fished and did other type of hunting. My family did, but then I remember watching, television programs and seeing bow hunting in Arkansas in the timber. And I was like, at that time, he was and probably still is one of the best, football players. So I was like, man, if Bo Jackson's doing it,
you're thinking
Antonio needs a guy that got to try.
Yeah, you're thinking Bo knows, man. Bo knows duck hunting. You got to do it.
So
this is no lie.
I had to do it.
This is no lie. When I was a kid, I was a big baseball card collector, right? And I can still remember it. 1992 Score. My favorite baseball card was the Bow Breaker, and it was a picture of him just snapping a bat over his knee like it was nothing.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember thinking, "Wow, that guy's just a beast," So I can appreciate looking up to him, no doubt.
Yeah. So that's why. And then it was kind of a real cool story. I've always kind of had the gift of gab for sure. I was playing Pee Wee basketball in my hometown, and after watching that show previously, I kept seeing a guy in the stands, with his camouflage on, and I'd go up and talk to him after our games and stuff, and I asked him all the time if he could see anything, and he was, he went from deer hunting, then he switched over and started duck hunting, and got to talking to him about it and basically bugged him enough until he, agreed to tell me, to take me. But I had to get permission from my mother at the time. And so, of course I did, because I had a little gift for gab again. And got Jimmy Courtney to take me on my first hunt. Then December 24th. Christmas Eve, man, youth waterfowl days in Arkansas. Shot my first 3 ducks. Long story to that on how I got to that, but that's how it came about, man. And here we are today. We used to hunt an area on the Arkansas River called Brody Bend, which is now my call company's name. And went from there to just wanted to, grow. And man, I've said it before, I've said it a million times, man. When someone actually goes, and you really don't even have to just kill a bunch, just the whole sound and the sight of what you see and you hear while waterfowl hunting is unprecedented. I still can remember sounds like, I mean, kind of like a jet coming over your head.
Yeah.
How hard it. I mean, whenever you're a kid, that.
Yep.
But then hearing the one, especially when they get real tight, those wings start whistling and stuff, man. That trip's like. I mean, number one, it still gets me fired up today. But when I was a kid, woo.
Yeah.
That was fun stuff, man.
No doubt.
I couldn't imagine if my first hunt was in the timber of Arkansas. I don't think I'd even pick my gun up. I'd probably just been in awe just watching them.
Yeah. Well, my first hunt really wasn't in the timber.
No?
It really wasn't. It was on the edge of a cypress, my very, very first hunt. You got, the cypress sloughs and, swamps basically, but old Tupelo break or something like that, big cypress break. And basically the water got up and it flooded out into the edge of the field, a bean field. And so we were hunting right on the edge of it. And little buck brush, but, mainly cypress trees. But the water got up and got in that field. We was hunting right on the edge. And, man, those ducks were finishing. I mean, they couldn't have put on a better show for me. I mean, it was... I mean, I shot every one of them off the water. I mean, it was my first time. We called those skillet shots in Arkansas. They land right in the skillet.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I heard that.
Sorry, that's now that I know better, it's a little unsportsmanlike conduct to do stuff like that. We don't have to. But, I mean, I don't like... I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't like to shoot them at yards. I like to shoot them at feet. That's the name of the game for me.
Oh, man. So when did you, or how did you start getting into contest calling?
Man, so after that hunt, particularly, I went and hunted and it's kind of like a fire, and you want to, keep doing it over and over. And so I knew after going there and starting to hunt with Jimmy and his buddies, and then several other, people around my town, the guy who was going to duck call pretty much controlled the hunt, or if there were several guys going to duck call, they were all in on the action. I felt left out. You know what I'm saying? Because it was kind of crazy how they would hit a note on the duck call and the ducks would respond. And I was like, man, that looks like fun. So I then went and convinced my mom and got me a duck call at Walmart and an instructional DVD. I think it was the Bud Gardner Straight Talk was the very, very first one that I did an old Rich and Tone too, really, and polycarbonate. And so I went and I watched that video religiously and kind of got a little, pretty good on operating it, just off the video. But then I went to the expo center in Little Rock. They were having I don't know if it was an extravaganza or whatever, but anyway, the Running Right Memorial Duck Calling Contest was going on for the adults that was there. But while I was there, I was seeing all these guys in these, Rich and Tone shirts or Petco shirts. And I vividly remember talking with my friend Daniel Duke and just hearing those guys and, including some of the other call makers too, like, Badco guys and stuff like that. They had an actual set routine, and you can tell that they were part of a calling team, whatever brand that they were representing. Tyler Merritt was there. They were part of an actual team. And I asked them, I said, who do you guys work with? And Daniel Duke told me, he said that he works with Butch, Richard back. And so I called down, figured out, looked in the phone book, and I just called him up one day and said, hey, I'd like to, start contest calling and competitively a lot. And he told me, gave me a date on when I could come down, and the rest is history.
Just like that. That's pretty impressive. So you started out.
I was 11 years old at that time, man. 11 or 12, right at 12. I think I just turned 12. And literally, I'm looking at Scott's number up on the phone and figured out how to call him. This was back before they had a new shop, and they were right there behind the old Max before Max was even built. And we just went and grew from there. My buddy Nathan Davis that lived in Whitehall. We could job, we would always ride back and forth together and stuff. Down there on Wednesday nights to work with Butch. It'd be a bunch of Will McBride, Brent Easley. It was a bunch of good people. A bunch of good callers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you started with a Buck Gardner or whatnot. What calls are on your lanyard right now?
Rich and Tone 2. It's
Rich and Tone.
It was it was the old plastic polymer. And there's a whole story that we won't go into, but it's an old plastic polymer call.
So what? Yeah, when you hit the Duckwoods now, what's on your lanyard there?
Man, I got nowadays I have a Permanent Hen, a Savage, and I can't live without a Mondo, man. I got above a Mondo. Jimmy got the hook on me. Hey, I got to. I got to. I've always blown cut down.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think the Mondo is the number one call that we hear, guys, when we ask them that question. Almost everybody says they got a Mondo on their lanyard.
You got to, man. It's really a good call.
Yeah.
It works, It really, really does. And the reason why I say that is because they can really key in on you. And, whether you're in high pressure areas, and a lot of these guys are blowing J-frames, they really can key in on you and stand out over. But that's the reason why they started doing them a long time ago. It's because you had to do something different to make you stand out over the other one. And so, not taking away from any other J-frames or nothing like that, because heck, I make them and I use them myself. But like our Savage, I use it a lot, especially when I'm having a call a lot. Because that Mondo will wear you out. If I'm having a call a lot, I'll switch over back and forth to that. But I like to switch back and forth because I like being able to hit a lot of that light stuff as when I'm trying to really, really finish them. And so I go back and forth. And depends on how energetic I feel that day too.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about just sort of, we haven't really, on our show, we haven't really got into hunting timber too much because, Dan and I are both kind of up here in the northeast part of the country, mid-Atlantic area. So we don't hunt, flooded timber traditionally like you guys got down there.
But I bet you guys have like some willow breaks or like some buckbrush, like kind of brushy, woody type holes.
Yeah, we have a few, but most are, your beaver ponds that aren't too much or some open water. Josh hunts a lot of rivers, so it's a bit different. Not the flooded timber of Arkansas like what you think of. Yeah.
Yeah, just the idea of hunting.
It's still close in calling, correct?
Yeah, it certainly can be, but I mean, the idea of going to a huge, block of flooded timber that's as pressured as, what you guys see down there is kind of a foreign concept. Like up here, we got blind laws in certain areas, so it creates a little bit of spacing. But you get, I see it all the time online. Guys are complaining about, guys shooting at their birds that are, on a swing. And I mean, they're hunting holes that are super close. So, I mean, when you're hunting in that kind of condition, what's your approach to calling kind of in that environment? Are you trying to just be the loudest guy in the block, or I mean,
you just do not want them to key in on anyone else. So you work them tight, you work them fast. You pretty much stay on them the whole time. And, with the shooting the swings and all that stuff, people need to go back to the good old days, like whenever I hunted up to the Black River, man. And up there before they abolished all of leaving your decoys out, I hunted with some old guys. When I say older, they were, there's 60, 70 something now, 80, Don's 80. But, and they hunted up there particularly, they had holes that everyone knew this guy that hunted this particular hole, they hunted this particular hole, and that's just where they were, So, but they used their ethics was like very, it was not like us greedy young folks nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if they knew some ducks was working on the, say John and at the zero hole, all the people from Black River are going to be like, I know what a zero hole is. At the zero hole, then they would shut up and let them finish their ducks, let them work their ducks. It's just common courtesy,
All right.
And but nowadays it's just like who can get them in, who can call it off, call the bunch off for somebody. And I can't lie. I've been guilty of it quite a bit. I kind of like calling ducks off folks sometimes, but I really think that we need to be able to respect the next guy, the guys next to us. You know what I'm saying? The public hunting would be a lot better. But how do you do that? How do you call in those type of areas, to get back to your question, is you call aggressively. You don't ask the ducks, you tell them.
Yeah.
You don't at all.
I love that. I think Shanahan told us the same thing. When you're, you don't want to be like, yeah, he must have listened to you prior to this or something. But
I did knowing him.
Yeah, but
Shanahan's a good dude. I like him.
Yeah, but he said the same thing. Don't talk to him. Let them know that that you're down there and get down here. No messing around with it. So, I want to go to something, and going back to the foreign concept for us being up here, but, you see the gator tail boats flying through the timber and all stuff like that. What are some keys to consistently being successful in timber hunting? And specifically, we always tell people scout, scout as much as you can, know where the birds are go. But how do you do it in that timber?
How do you do it? Is like you can always get out on the slough, and every block of woods has some slough or something that's feeding it, as in where the water starts to go. And when it bags up, it's got to come from somewhere. So it's got to come down a slough or something. I'm gonna give you away. So I'm gonna give y'all guys all my trade shit. Go and sit in the slough and figure a general direction where you're seeing most of the birds that are going towards. Because I'll tell you this, ducks are going to follow that slough. That's how they knew that they were water anyway. And then they branch off from the slough, and 90% of the time, they're going to be right there on the edge anyway, because ducks follow rising muddy water. Want to know the reason why? Because there's fresh food there.
Right. Yep. No, that makes complete sense.
You ever seen a bunch of ducks sitting in the field and wonder why they always put the water in the dry meats.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, totally. It just seems so daunting, when you've got, some of these areas that are just massive chunks of, flooded timber. And, for me,
White River, when it floods, it's 180,000 acres contiguous.
I know. And for a guy like me, I'm like, well, how in the world would I even approach that, and, let alone when you hunt an area that you've got guys lining up on the boat ramp, hours and hours ahead of shooting light and all that kind of stuff. I can't even imagine dealing with that kind of pressure as a hunter.
Right. Well, I would say, personally, I would not go in the first day. But say if you're going to a new area, the first day, like I just did a trip up north. I ain't gonna say what state, but we just did a trip up north. And we took 2 days scouting. We watched these birds. We drove around. We figured out what they were doing early in the morning. We figured out what they were doing at noon. We figured out what they were doing at night. But we had, and then not only one bunch of birds, but we had several different bunches. We got back, the night before or the evening before, and we calculated out what would be our best plan of attack. And we staged our week up hunting. We didn't want to bother these birds because we wanted to shoot them on this particular day. Or when this was, right. Or we didn't want to shoot them in the pothole because we didn't want to run them out of there. So we shot them in the field. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
A good plan of attack and scouting is key, critical. I think it's 75% scouting. The rest, duck calling and actually getting to pull the trigger decoy set up. Being hid is probably the next hardest thing. But
yeah, we always hammered on scouting and concealment. Those are kind of two big things for sure.
I'd say your game plan must have worked out because I saw on your Instagram page you had a duck strap pretty filled up there.
Oh yeah. We ain't even released all the pictures yet. We don't like to share everything right off bat.
You gotta slow roll it, huh? Slow roll it out.
Let's stick it out a little bit, man. Watch this stuff. To come in and cause havoc, then you can go back and share it.
So you've talked about a couple. A couple keys to sort of being successful in the, in the timber and stuff like that. How about, just sort of some of the biggest mistakes that you see people out there making? What are some of the things that, you want to avoid?
I can just tell you some of my big mistakes that I have made. Blindfold your buddies. Tell them to leave the GPS is at the house.
Oh, there you go.
I'm kidding. We've all had that. We've got that friend. You have taken them to a spot, and you have wore them out. And then the next day, if you're on public ground, they have every right to go back in there.
Right, right.
They do. But some of my mistakes that I've made when you're hunting, particularly hunting a river channel, always take a depth stick with you, like a stick that you can judge the depth. The ground rolls,
right,
and you don't know if you're in a slough or not. It's not flat, even though it looks flat. And even though those trees may be flooded, and I'm particularly talking like areas like White River, even Cass River, spots on Cass River too. Cass River, Black River, and anything like that. You may think that ground is flooded. And it's supposed to be knee deep. You see a guy all the time on TV with knee deep water, maybe, waist deep water. But in areas like that, it'll be over your head or 10 foot deep with current. And so, I definitely recommend that. And that has been a mistake of mine before. And also, make sure you carry an extra gas can. Especially if you're on the big body of water, big contiguous stack of woods, and you get to scouting, and you're getting the following birds, and you get the extra gas can. I always help. I've ran out of gas several times. another critical thing as far as hunting and hunting public ground in the woods is get away from other people. If somebody's there, you want to give yourself and them at least 500 yards, 300 to 400, 500 yards, 300 yards, no, 400 yards the closest that you want to be to someone else. And I could just go on and on.
In the environment that you're in, though, I mean, how realistic is it? I mean, can you get away 400 yards from another hunter? I mean, is it?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
It just depends on how hard you want to work, to get away from them. You could step. What's going to happen is if you sit right up on top of each other, and this funny story, me and Will McBride did this one year in Balmain. We just split ducks, The ducks split right in between us. Because you're just, hammering at them the whole time, and they can't figure out which one to go to, so they just right in the middle. And or go away from you.
Right.
Because, you're pull-pulling, you pull them in, push them out. If you get far enough away from each other, then they're not going to be able to hear you, and you're not going to be working some of the same ducks. So it's not going to be that you're not competing as hard from them. The main thing is just try to get away from people as far as you can, and allow your ducks to swing downwind far enough to set up. But depending on how big the bunch is, if you want to allow them enough time to swing downwind before you hit them. That's another tip. Just roll them off now.
they're just coming out. So, like you said, you didn't divulge the state there that you were in. But my next question goes to what if you had to go to another state outside of Arkansas, where would you go?
Man, that's like telling your best fishing hole. I don't even know if I want to say that. I might give you so funny.
All right. Just give us number 2. Give us number 2 and 3.
I'm joking. I'll tell you, it's a big state. I'd either say Oklahoma or Kansas. One of those two. Maybe Nebraska. Nebraska would be another good, but any one of those right there. Missouri got some good stuff too, but any one of those that right there in that tri-state, you can just flip a coin. I'll go to any one of those.
So here's my question for you. Now, obviously, we're talking about Arkansas.
I answered that very vague.
That's all right. We're going to get on to. I'm going to ask you some.
Well, just go to Central America, so Central United States.
I talked some around that one.
That was good. Yeah.
So everyone that listens to this show knows that I'm a big diver hunter, and that's my preference. I love to hunt divers. We've been talking a lot about Arkansas. We've been talking a lot about timber. Do you ever get a chance to get out there and get on a good diver beat down?
Hey, listen, Brody Bend, where I grew up hunting that, absolutely has some good diver hunting. It's crazy. Like it's kind of the best of the both worlds. It's on the Arkansas River, man, and so it's big bodies of water,
right?
And but in the back of it, where we killed our mallards and stuff, that was actually at a stump field, which used to be all old green timber, where we killed all our puddle duck species. And all on the east side of the state, on the east side of that river, is actually England, Stuttgart, that area. So when those rice fields and stuff started to freeze up and lock up, that's when we started killing a bunch, most of our puddle ducks.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so whenever you want to come down, see divers, I'll show you let me show you my hood.
Well, we're still working on Dan and the diver hunting thing, but I'm all in on diver.
Josh is probably packing his bags already.
Damn, why aren't you in on diver hunting?
No, so well, if I could get out of state more, I think I would. But right now, our season ends in December. Our duck season ends December 31st.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, and we don't get good pushes until like, if you come here end of January, we're loaded with them. But until that point, there's pretty much none around. And Josh grew up here too, so he knows what I'm talking about. And I send him pictures all through January and February when there's divers all over our lakes here. But until that point, it's just not. I just never got into it. But
I say you're just a mallard purist.
Oh, he's a purist, all right.
Green head or bull sprig or something. You know, I ain't know.
No, we don't get pennies too much either. But so. I'm going to totally switch it up on you here. And our last conversation, we were talking with John Devney from Delta Waterfowl, and kind of went into it a little bit, but just want to get your thoughts about social media, the impact it has on hunting, and kind of what you think about it.
Man, social media is actually great. It's good and it's bad. Number one, your pictures are all geotagged. Y'all should know that.
Right. Yeah. We'll look at those pictures. We'll know what state you're in. We're going to know what state you're in there.
All geotagged, so you know. It's crazy. I mean, it has its good and its bad perks. A friend of mine that's in a camp that's right down the road from me. I didn't even know this. He took a picture of mine, and he got pretty close to where I was at by it being geotagged. I didn't know that, but so it had this good, and used to you could get away with the people not being able to find you, but everybody has to want to nowadays. Social media start to know who's killing what, you know, and where they at. They know, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's almost like when you pull up to a boat ramp, or if you're already sitting and hunting and somebody's coming to the shooting,
right,
and setting up close to where the shooting is. That's the only bad part I can see about, social media. Now, I see a bunch of cool content that's being put out there by social media, but all in all, it's a good thing to, especially strike the interest of, younger guys like ourselves and actually build our sport that we love to do, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Our numbers are suffering, man. I was up there and, as my buddy Jacob says, the gray blue yonder, and got to stop in and talk with my good buddy Jason Tharp. It's the COO of Delta. And John Devney I was supposed to have dinner with him that night, but he had to go to Chicago, and we were scouting for ducks and stuff, and didn't get a chance to do that. But got to sit down and talk with Jason for a long time, and their marketing guy, and just talk to him about, true numbers of hunters and duck hunters. And, our numbers are down as far as hunters, duck hunters, waterfowl hunters,
right,
in itself. And so whatever I can do, it's in my power to spread the word about it, or to take and introduce new people, man. That's exactly what I want to do personally. And I think that we should all do that ourselves, as waterfowl hunters. Because, man, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
No doubt. Yeah, and the funny thing about social media too is, it's a great opportunity for guys like, Dan and I. We've got, our podcast here, and through social media, we meet so many guys that are not only experienced, but a ton that are new to the game. And, like me, I grew up duck hunting. I didn't have a true like duck hunting mentor. So I just had to learn from whatever I could find out there. And, it's awesome because we get guys coming to us, and I mean, we're not professionals or anything like that. We just share our experience, and we got a group on Facebook, and we let guys come in there and ask questions, and it's just sort of like a group opportunity to chime in on that. And I kind of want to dovetail off of that to my next question. I mean, you touched on this earlier, but it is important to have people that are introducing the next generation of duck hunters and waterfowl hunters. And, Butch was one of the best at being involved with kids and, getting people a duck call in their hand and sort of building that. And, you touched on this already, but just talk a little bit about, what a guy like Butch meant to you, and just what he meant to the industry, and maybe some of the other guys that have been, impactful on you.
Man, a lot of the stuff would be going on that's going on today if he was still around. He, man, Butch, I called him the Bobby Knight of duck calling. I mean, legitimately. Now, granted, I probably needed some of that Bobby Knight discipline myself because I'm a scoreheart like that. But he just, I mean, he had a very direct, in-your-face approach, man. But he was a genuine soul. You had to understand Butch. He always seemed like he was grouchy or in a bad mood most of the time, but that was just Butch. And I mean, as far as him, our relationship is so, I mean, it's been since I was 12, man, 11, 12 years old. And I mean, countless hours, countless days at his house or in the shop or on the phone or getting acrylic rods tape hit over me or getting my duck call tape to my hand or him taking his nub and punching me right at pointing his finger right in my chest. I miss all this stuff, man. He is. I mean, there will never be another individual that genuinely loved to help others. And it didn't matter what race, color, how much money you had. It didn't matter if you could blow a duck call or not blow a duck call. And if you came in there with bad habits, he would fix them because you were going to do it his way or not. No way. Or at all. That's just how but there will never be no one that has taught as many world champions as this guy has.
Yeah.
And I'm talking from the ground up, and I'm a product of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was when he passed, and all the stories, there's a good thing about social media, because I feel like I almost knew him from every story that someone wrote about him. And, he'd be at a contest and someone would go and ask him a question, and he would stop and take the time to explain something or help someone. And, once you get to that level of where he was at, you don't see that in many people anymore. And, it's just, I can't imagine, how you felt that day when you learned about it, or, as he was, suffering there a little bit, but
in the hospital, it was we knew it was coming. It was just a sad time, man.
Yeah, but his legacy is
just, other than learning how to blow a duck call, what I learned from Butch and Bag. I learned principles of life. I learned about loyalty. There's a lot of people running around suing each other all the time. People switching and jumping from ship to ship, and don't stick it out through the good and the bad with, even in life. Maybe it could be something that you're trying to accomplish or trying to do something in life. I learned that with Butch. You don't forget the train that brought you there. I mean, I learned about respecting the next person. standing next to you, whether he had that or did, not for what he has or don't have. I mean, I learned a lot of principles that were instilled in me by Butch through a duck call. So it was, we were blowing a duck call, but I was learning a lot. It was a lot more than just a duck, blowing a duck call and learning to become a world champion for me. Now, it may be something different for other people, but I was learning a lot about life.
Right. No doubt. And then, he's obviously impacted a lot of guys, and it was really, sad to kind of see him go. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like, it almost feels like it's an industry that's sort of starved for people like that. I mean, so many things you can look back and, they use the term, you stand on the shoulders of giants and stuff like that. And I mean, for the waterfowl community, I mean, for a lot of people that was Butch. So, it'll be interesting to see sort of how things evolve and kind of who will be the ones that sort of come forward and take that place and sort of impact the next generation of duck hunters.
That's a great analogy. There's several chomping at the bits. Several chomping at the bits. Me, myself, I was blessed to be taught by the best. And him planting that seed in me. There's several other people, which Charles Petty's the same way. He's been, calling competitively and as a senior world champion and absolutely loves to help anyone on calling. That's another, Mr. Charles is always involved with everybody, and especially on the competitive side, and even hunting. If anybody's just listening, if you can't give me contact Mr. Charles Petty, Kent Cullum's another one. Kent Cullum will help you. He's doing calling clinics and stuff too. With his call shop. Rick Dunn will too. Bud Gardner will too. Anybody that's looking to get into, doing stuff that especially we love to do. We're trying to grow our sport. And me, myself, personally, I want new people in. And just to hit on something, man, just a second, that's all I'm going to say about it. After I won the Worlds, after I decided to have a personal goal, winning the Worlds and something, I wanted to see another person that looked like me blowing in the competition. Mm-hmm. And dang it, this year I done seen two young guys that looked similar to me blowing in I met. And both of them was good. I was like, dang, I need to step up my game up. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, kudos to that. I think our sport's going to grow, and I'm going to continue to do as much as I can. And if anybody needed to get in contact with me, or if they're looking to purchase a call from us, it's BrodyBen.com. Look me up on any of the social channels and whatnot. That's the only PR plug I'm gonna throw in there.
There you go. Well, that was my last question for you. What's coming down the road for Brody Ben there?
Man, what's coming down the road for Brody Ben? Brody Ben, I have been working on with the masterminds at Red Shutter Media. I have been working on a project. We've been traveling all across the country filming. Shout out to my buddy Jeffrey Hodge for putting up with me all calling season. We still got about season to go. You're gonna see some Brody Ben, because Brody Ben is, it's an area on the bend on the river, Arkansas River, where you can fish, you can duck hunt, you can deer hunt, you can turkey hunt. It's anything, all things outdoors. So, you can expect waterfowl calls, high-end waterfowl calls, turkey calls, and buck hunts. And I've got some big names, people that have super slams and stuff that are, using and promoting our products now. And so we've got a lot of stuff that I can talk about right now. But in the spring, baby, it's coming.
Cool. Coming down the pipeline. All right, I was gonna say I have one more question for you. I don't know if Josh has anything else, but I see it every post, every time you're talking. But purling.
I knew that was coming, man. I knew that was coming. You know, purling, man. I hang out with a lot of construction guys. You know, there are a lot of construction guys that are in our camp and stuff, like GC's, general contractors. And,
wait, is this locker room? Is this locker room talk like Trump or what?
Well, you can call it what you want, cloth top, pot top, whatever. Run talk, whatever. But man, I got a particular friend of mine, Rob Branson. I called it this one bunch of ducks. Me and him broke his one big high bunch, 200 or 300 in that bunch, in the bottoms one day. And I mean, we lit every one of them in front of it. And he looked at me, he goes, "Duckman, we just pearled them in there. We just pearled them in there." And I said, right then and there, we went to started saying it everywhere. I mean, I started saying it, and then I didn't know that it was going to become such a big hashtag. I mean, I click on, I got to watch what I say, because we said that jokingly,
There you go. That's how the best things start, though, and, things that are unintended turn into being the best things. Yeah. I do have one more question for you before we let you go.
What's
here.
Up, buddy?
I mean, everybody knows you as Duckman, right? I mean, you Google that kind of your name, and it just, everybody knows you as Duckman, refers to you as Duckman. Who gave you the nickname? I mean, where did it come from?
Did what now?
Who gave you the Duckman nickname?
And I named myself that.
Yeah?
I did. I said, Phil Robinson and them had their own names. I said, man, I'm a Duckman.
Wow.
When I was like 11. I said, I'm Duckman Jones. And I walked right up to Phil Robinson and I said, "Hey," I said, "you must be the Duckman." He said, "That's right." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm Duckman Jones. Nice to meet you." I'm kind of arrogant, man. I said, "I'm Duckman Jones."
Well, it's stuck. I mean, everybody knows you as Duckman Jones
man.
now.
It really did.
Yeah.
It really did.
Well, that's cool, awesome, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on, and we definitely encourage everybody to keep their eyes out on Brody Bend and everything you got going on with that. And Dan, did you have anything else, buddy?
No, I'm pretty good. So where's what's the lodge to look up down there that you suggest?
The lodge to look up? Yeah. Well, I got, Whispering Oaks Hunting Lodge sponsors they're a really big sponsor of everything that we do. And so, if you were wanting a good guide service, a good hunting lodge, that's the place you need to call. Give Jordan Dan of Washington call. They'll take care of it. Man, he's got half of the country looped up there. And as far as timber hunting and everything else, man, they got it. They've got it. They have got it and got the worst. And actually got most of their ground around Claypool's Reservoir. You ever heard of Claypool's Reservoir?
No.
Okay, you remember the old picture where you could look like you could walk across all the ducks? The old black and white picture on the reservoir? That's Claypool's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's extremely good area.
Yeah.
So
you might shoot some ducks if you go there.
Yeah, and they can be looked up at whisperingoakshunting.com. So y'all going to see a lot of good stuff coming, via social media from them. Our guys are going to take a bunch of stuff there. One of his guides is one of our pro staffers. And they've got everything from snow geese to mallards in the woods to specklebellies decoying over a container blind that's 50-something foot where they got a kitchen and stuff in it. They've got everything.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Duckman, we're not going to...
Y'all get ready. Y'all come down to Arkansas and let's pearl on them a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. No doubt. Well, we certainly appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. If y'all can't tell that I like to have fun, man.
Yeah.
If you can't have fun doing what you love to do, you might as well just go ahead,
do something else.
Something else.
Yep.
I love doing this. So, and plus I'm a jokester, so please excuse me joking all the time.
No, and for the listeners that don't know, Duckman here is driven about 15, 16, 18 hours today in a vehicle and still took the time to talk to us. So we greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I enjoyed. Thanks for having me on you guys' show. Call me back anytime. We can do mid-season report, during the season report. Can't do in the blind report because I don't want y'all knowing whether I'm killing them or not. You have to call me 3 or 4 days. I'll give you a 3 or 4 day, after it happens.
Fair enough.
Geotag your phone call.
Dang. Technology nowadays. I've officially said I'm not hunting on my phone no more than ever. Since I'm over it. There you go.
All right, Duckman. Well, we definitely appreciate it.
Y'all having me on the show here.
Absolutely. And everybody check out Brody Ben and check out everything that Duckman's got going on. And thanks again for joining the show. All right. And, as we mentioned a couple times, Duckman had been on the road and kind of, was running ragged there a little bit. So we do appreciate him kind of fighting through the tire to spend a few minutes chatting with us, and hopefully everybody enjoyed that. But, Dan, it's just interesting, man, when he talks about growing up, hunting these spots down there in Arkansas. And I mean, we grew up hunting primarily, deer and turkey and stuff. I just can't imagine growing up in like the mecca of, duck hunting. I mean, Arkansas, mallards, it's like, the number 1 seed, right? And just growing up with that experience would just be such a cool thing. I mean, just such a cool deal. It's, just an awesome opportunity that he had growing up in that area. And I kept thinking about that as he's telling stories, And
no doubt. And I think, 2 really cool things about that interview. And one is how excited he still is about waterfowl hunting, like how excited he gets when he hears the birds coming over, he talked about. And the second is just how he spoke about Butch. Like, I never met Butch, you never met Butch, but man, from what we read online and just, he is Duckman is a huge personality, as you can tell, and, just funny and likes to joke around and have a good time. But you know what? That was a serious couple moments when he was talking about that, and that just shows you what kind of guy Butch was, and really how big of an impact he had on his life. And I think that's just awesome. And he's his legacy lives on in a lot of people.
No doubt. And I mean, the thing about Duckman that we didn't get a chance to talk about it in the interview, but I was reading an article about him when we were getting him kind of on the show and stuff, and I think he won the world championship when he was like 24, 25 years old. And he won it the first time he qualified. So think about that. You qualify for the biggest duck calling competition in the country, and you get up there your first time and you win it. That's something that, that's got that, at least to me, that speaks to the character of somebody, because, it would be easy to get up on a stage like that and lay an egg, right? I mean, I don't think anybody would even, fault somebody from saying, hey, it's your first time in this, big stage, you'll get them next time.
It's probably expected.
Step up there. Yeah. I think I would have to assume that more times than not that's the outcome. But to just step up there and slay it, the first time, man, is awesome. I mean, just really, really cool stuff. And, just something, that I took away from kind of, as I was getting ready for that interview. But, we definitely appreciate his time, and, hopefully everybody enjoyed that. And, Dan, this is just a tough part of the year for me, because we're not duck hunting much right now. I'm thinking more about trout fishing right now, because they're starting to stock some of the trout streams in my area. So I'm kind of, I've had my kid out there last weekend, and so I might be doing some more trout fishing than anything in the next couple of weeks. But you know, we just, I know your status is still it's still TBD, but we secured a 3-day hunt up on the Eastern Shore in January. So hoping that you're able to make that trip, maybe.
Yeah, I'm stocking the brownie points, man. But I mean, I had a good trip out in Colorado, so.
Hey, go back to the pumpkin patch again this weekend. I know you did it last weekend. Do it again.
I'm trying everything. But hey, you know, going on a totally different subject. You know, they say the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but recently I made the switch to breathable waders, and
right
now it was in the mid 30s this past Saturday in the morning. So I mean, it's pretty chilly. I had a pair of wader pants on under them, but I tell you what, I was
just so much more room for activities, right?
So much. I seriously felt like I could run a mile compared to neoprene. Like just the mobility and the stability of being able to walk around, lift your leg up over, you know, down trees, whatever it may be. Like it just felt very nice, and I had to throw that out there. So, you know, we'll see what it's like when it's all icy and, you know, 5 degrees out in the water, and if I layer properly, I know I'll be fine. But besides that, man, totally. I am all in. So that's just my thought. Yeah,
it's nice to have you.
Yeah. So now I'm just thinking, what am I missing out on all this diver hunting? And, you know, is it really that much better? And
so much.
I'm just on a struggle bus lately.
I mean, if fast shooting, you know, low flying birds, a lot of opportunity, if that's not your thing, I mean, I get it, but it's my thing. And you know, I think it'd be your thing too, if you just give it a try once in a while.
It's like cold water. You just got to dive in, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, you should probably just go order a couple dozen deeks right now. You won't, but you should.
I think I have enough brownie points for that.
Well,
we'll see.
Take those brownie points and shovel them over to the Maryland hunt. Double down.
I'm trying.
Double down. All right, well, let's get out of here on that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else we wanted to hit on here before the end of the show. You got anything else you want to touch on before we close this up?
Just a thanks to our sponsors, if you want to roll them.
Yeah.
Our partners.
The partners of the show, certainly. And we'd like to thank Sitka Gear, Higdon Outdoors, DeLorme, Sportier, Big Al, Silhouette Decoys. Am I missing anybody there, Dan? Did I miss anybody? I think I got them all. Yeah, and then of course we do want to thank those of you who have elected to make regular donations to the show in support of what we've got going on here. Many of you have gone on and elected to do the monthly allocation, $1, $5, whatever. We appreciate all of that. We are, planning to use those funds to not only help absorb some of the cost of the show, but, to upgrade gear. And, we talked about purchasing products with that money, doing reviews of those products to share with the collective audience, and then do giveaways. So, buy a dozen decoys of a certain brand or a gall or something, use it, review it, let you guys know how we feel about it, and then raffle it off, give it away. So if we get enough folks, contributing to where we can do that on a regular basis, we certainly would like to start doing that. So, if you'd like to contribute, please consider doing that. Other than that, Dan, that's all I got. All right. Thank you for tuning in to the 59th episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed our chat with Duckman Jones. And if you'd like to catch up on any of our past episodes, you can certainly do that through iTunes or hpoutdoors.com/podcast. If you're checking us out on iTunes, if you haven't had a chance to leave a 5-star rating and review, we certainly would appreciate if you'd consider doing that. And other than that, this pretty much wraps it up for this week. Hopefully you guys are out there banging away on them and getting settled in here as more cold fronts come through. So for next time, I'm Dan. No, he's Dan. I'm Josh. Take care.